Alrighty, I am back doing these again. I have not done one in a long time because a lot of stuff has come out recently that I've been obsessing over. Of course, there's the new Gumball, Phineas and Ferb, and of course there was Deltarune. So I haven't run. I've taken a break from FNF modding for a little while because of all the stuff that's come out. But I am now back on it, and I'm ready to make another one of these tutorials. So today I'm going to be showing you how to create a stage with the power of Hscript in Pslice, which is, if you don't know, the engine I use for these tutorials. This also will work in a psych engine too. So if you just want to use basic psych engine, then go ahead. But I would recommend using Pslice if you're trying to make an FNF mod that has the psych engine abilities. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit 7, and we're going to hit Stage Editor. You want to hit 7 on the main menu, by the way. So we have our Stage Editor. We don't need to add anything in here. You can if you want to, but I wouldn't recommend it if you're planning on having anything in your stage, like move around. So, but what we can do here is we can change some things, like we can change the position of boyfriend. We'll move him back here. And we can change the position of girlfriend and daddy dearest. What we can also do as well is we can change how much the camera zooms in. I'm going to do about here. And we can change the speed of the camera, so how fast the camera goes from transitioning between the opponent and boyfriend. So we'll set that to 3. And now, once you've done all the edits you want to, we can press save. And we want to go into our mods folder here. Go into whatever, like your main mod folder, wherever your mod is taking place. And we'll do stages. And I'm just going to call this Hscript stage. Okay, now the main part of our stage has been completed. So now that we've done that, don't worry about that, by the way. If it tells you you have nothing saved, you do. It's just going to be annoying like that. Okay, now let's get into actually, adding assets to this. Well, actually, before we do that, let's test out the stage, see if it works. I'm gonna open a chart. Give me a sec. I'm gonna do just simple Bo Peebo. So let's get that open. I'm gonna have to censor all this out, by the way, because I don't need you seeing any of my other files, because you don't need to. Okay. Now we can go over here and we could select our stage. I'm gonna go with Hscript stage. Let's see how that looks. Pretty good. So this is our basic stage, but it's a bit boring because all it is just blackness. There's no, like, land or anything. So I'm going to show you how to simply do that. And by do that, I mean make it less boring. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up Visual Studio Code. We can get rid of this. We want to go up to here. We're going to hit New File. I'm not going to teach you how to use Visual Studio, by the way. You'll have to figure that out on your own. But there are pretty good tutorials out there. And we're going to make a file called... Sorry, I don't know what happened there. We're going to rename or name this file the same as what we named our stage. So I called it Hscript stage, I believe. And then at the end, we want to make it a .hx, which is a hacks file. And we want to save this into our mods folder and put it... That's not the right folder. Sorry, hold on. Into our mods folder, and we are going to save it in stage. Yeah, okay, that was right. All right, so we can create the file. And now we have where we're going to put and input all our assets. By the way, whenever you're coding with Hscript, I would recommend having the play state of the engine that you use open, so you can edit so you can get all the variables that are in here, because this is mainly what you want. Okay, now that we have our Hscript file, let's get to actually creating the stage itself. So in my that's not it. Hold on a second. So in my mod folder, there's a little thing called images here, and I have 2 images right now. I have ass grass and sky lol. These are what we're going to import onto that stage. So the way we're going to do that is simple. The first thing we need to do is create 2 variables, which will represent the objects of those images. So we'll say var grass, and we'll make this a Flixel sprite. And what we can do now is we can copy and paste this, and we can just change this to sky, basically. Okay, so now we have our 2, make sure to save this, by the way, whenever you edit it. We have our 2 main objects right here. So now let's actually, tell the game what those objects are. So we're going to create a function on create. So when the script is created, didn't mean to do that. And we are going to copy this code into here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the... I can't believe it's like a big coding thing. I can't believe I forgot what those are called. We're going to delete that. Give me a second. Hold on. Okay, so I had to look up what this was because I felt really awful that I didn't know what it is, because I don't really pay attention that much. I just know it as the thing you use to end off code. But it's a semicolon. I am very embarrassed, but I don't care. So we're going to get rid of the semicolon that was right here. And we're going to say equals new Flixel sprite. And add some parentheses there. So now it actually knows that it's a Flixel sprite instead of us just identifying it as that. Hold on, this is wrong. You don't have to do this like this. All you really can do is, you don't really need these either. I don't think. All you really need to do is you could probably just put grass, and then it can be new Flixel sprite. But I like to do it this way because in general that's just how I like it to be done. But if you like it your own way, then that's fine. I don't care. So we have var grass. That's the Flixel sprite. So it knows it's a Flixel sprite, but there's going to be nothing there because there's no image that's attached to it. So let's attach the image we have of grass in our images files to here. So we're going to say grass dot load graphic, and we can do paths dot image. And this is basically meaning that the path we want to go to is the image folder in our mod folder. And all we need to do here is just put in the name of the file. So ass grass. All right. There we go. Now it officially has an identifiable image. So now that we've done that, all we need to do, well, actually, before we do that, we'll say grass dot screen center. I think that's all I need to do, right? To put something in the center of the screen. I think. Oh no, we need to do that. Okay. So grass screen center. This will put it in the center of the screen. Screen center. That's all that means. All right. Now that we've done that, all we need to do to actually add it into the stage is just add grass. Bam! We have officially created ourselves a sprite. So let's head back into the stage, Hit restart. Unexpected token. Hold on. Something is wrong here. Something is wrong here. I don't know what it is, but something is wrong. One moment. All right, I figured it out. I accidentally spelled function wrong. That was all that it is. You probably didn't, but I did because I do not know how to spell. So basically, just keep everything in here the same, but if you're like me, just check function, see if that's spelled correctly. And heck, check if anything is spelled correctly, because if it's not, then, you know, it's not going to work. All right, so now that we've done all that, if we restart the song, check that out. We've officially added in ourselves an asset. Now, it is a bit small, but we can easily change that. So let's get out of here and go back to Visual Studio. And we are going to add something underneath here. And what we're just going to do is we're going to scale the object with the power of only a couple lines of code. So we'll say grass dot scale dot x equals 2, and then grass. Well, actually, I don't really think we need to do the y value, but this will basically scale it on the x value, so it'll make it wider, and it will, expand the width of it. There's a good way to put it. By the way, if you don't want your image right in the center, you can, instead of using screen center, what you can do is you can use grass and then just put x and then equal whatever value you wanna put the x value at for your image. But for me, I'm just gonna stick with screen center because that is fine enough. Okay, let's try that out and see what happens. Check that out. So it now pretty much fits the whole screen. However, you can see at the bottom, though, doesn't really look the greatest. We can still see a lot of the bottom. So again, like I said before, just copy and paste this, and we can make this, change the x from here to a y. So let's restart. That's pretty good. But also, as I said before, I get to use this as an example too now. It is a bit on the, it is a bit lower than I want it to be. So what we can do is we can do, of course, x. I think this is just default. So I'll set this to 100. And then we'll copy that and paste it and just change this to y. Actually, I'm going to keep it to 10 because I don't know if this is going to be what I want, but we'll have to try it out. It is not. So one thing about making stages in FNF like this is you're going to have to do a lot of, typing in different numbers in the x and y value to make it exactly how you want it. It's just how it's got to be, but, it'll be worth it in the end the more you do it. So let me just do that real quick. Okay, it's officially at the level that I wanted it to be. So again, you'll just have to move the numbers around a lot until you get it exactly right, like I did here. I think I already said that. Whatever. But yeah, as you can see, the grass is now there. But there is another problem. It's in front of all the characters. And you can do that if you have parts of your backdrop is in front of the characters, and that is fine, but for the grass, we do not want that. So, to fix that, all we have to do is go to our add function, and we can type add behind GF. Now, you might think, oh, this will only hide it behind GF. And it's going to be hard to explain, but let me show you what it does. It puts it in front of all of the characters. So there are different settings we can do. We can do add behind dad, which will only hide it behind the dad and the boyfriend, but it'll still be in front of the girlfriend. And if we just do add behind BF, it'll be just only BF that is in front of it. So It's a bit complicated, but once you do it yourself, then you're like, ah, okay, now I get it. But I'm not going to show you right now, so I don't take up too much time on the, the Instagram page, so I can actually post this. Okay, now let's actually add in the sky. So really, what you can do is you can just copy and paste this code, because it's kind of basically the same thing. And we'll change this to sky, and we'll just change all of these to sky right here. Sorry if I'm moving away from my mic. I'm trying not to do that as much as I can, but sadly, it is partially the reality right now because I'm trying to get to my keyboard because of my setup. And then sky. So actually, now once we've done that, I think that should be pretty good. Let's restart the song. Oopsie daisy, I forgot to change the image path. Ha! Silly me. I think that's what it's called, right? Just skylol. There we go. Now, oh my goodness, but it's in front of the grass. That's not possible. Well, if that does happen, by the way, if an image goes over your already built image, that's because you put it underneath the first thing. So whatever is actually at the bottom, this is the first thing that will be added and will be in front of everything, whatever is the last variable or list you add onto the stage. So if we put it in above the code of the grass, however, we save it and then restart the song, the grass is now there with the sky. So that is pretty much the basics of how you make a simple stage in Hscript. You can add animated sprites to it too, but I'm not going to be showing you how to do that today. But it's pretty easy to do. All you need to do is just search up Hscript animated sprites, and you'll get some good results. But now that you have the basics of how to do this, I think you can actually go and try it yourself and maybe find some new things on the way. So, yeah, thank you for watching this, I guess. I don't know. LOL.